Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, Dr. White and team board.
Hi, everybody. My hair's a little windblown. Sorry. I just got in from the garage.
The wind blew it perfectly. I'd like for my hair to be wind blown.
It's a little tough because, the hairspray by the end of the day is no longer in place. So
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello. So I think we'll wait just one more minute as people are joining.
Sister Wilcox, I'm actually taking this from my car, leaving work. So I'm going to stay
Okay.
off camera. All right, thanks.
All right. So I think we have critical mass here. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. The January 2026 edition of the Finance and Operations Committee meeting. As we get started, the first thing I'd like to do is welcome Attorney Barrera. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. He's going to be an attorney with the city's Corporation Counsel's Office. He'll be working with New Haven schools closely. So welcome to, can't remember if this is your first F&O meeting or if you were at the last one, but
I logged in. Well, I logged in as a guest last time. and now I'm on the official list. And I attended my first board meeting last week, so thank you very much for that introduction, though, and welcome. Everyone's been very welcoming, so I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. We always welcome your counsel. So the second thing is I'd like to do is I've had the request to move our chief financial officer's reports up to the top of the meeting. And so we're going to be able to accommodate that. So we will, before we get into going through the action items, we will be moving up. This would be items 9.2, the December financial report, 9.3, the FY26 finance projections, and 9.4, the 26-27 budget update. So, Mr. Hernandez, if you're ready, we'll start with you.
Yes, I'm ready, and I apologize that I have my camera off. Uh, to say that it got me really bad, whatever is going on around, uh, is bad. I'm in pain everywhere. Let me share this document here. Okay, I'll start with the financial presentation. Let me make sure it's okay. Do you see the financial report on full screen?
Yes, I see it yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'll start with this, and then at the same time that I'm talking about the financial report through December, I'm also going to talk about the projections because it's all in the same document. And then later I can talk about the budget development. So again, we're always starting with the SOP as our foundation for everything we do. In my case, operational efficiencies is where I focus the most. Today we're going to go over the financial report for general funds and special funds as of December 31st, 2025. If you recall, last F&O I reported through November. Now I'm reporting through December. So now we're all caught up as far as reporting. And then on the second F&O in February, then I'll report through January. Total expenditures are $97.2 million, 73.3 from the general fund and 23.9 from the special funds. This is the general funds only. And then here you can see the projections on the right side. But let me speak to it. As far as the numbers through December, we have spent $73.3 million so far. We have 86.8 in encumbrances, which, as I've reported in the past, it includes, transportation and tuition, for the rest of the year. If you combine the encumbrances and the year-to-date actuals, that will be about 75% of the budget that has already been either spent or committed. But generally, I mean, we have only spent 34.3% through December. Normally, you want to see something, well, normally something closer to 50% is acceptable because it's, half of the year. 34.3 is not bad. However, we have to take into account the seasonal component, right? When you have July and August, where the expenses are really, really low, you cannot compare those 2 months with any 2 months of the next 6 months. So you have to understand that it's not equal, it's not apples to apples. The first 6 months and the next 6 months are not apples to apples. Again, because of the summer program and the expenses are a little different because of seasonal expenses. I want to focus more on the projection, right? Because the expenses through December, you can see them there, and I can on the next 3 slides we can see a little bit more details on what those expenses are and what makes up those expenses. Projections. So your eyes probably already automatically went to the bottom right corner where you see a negative $8.8 million. That's what I did. That's what I did when Juanita put this together. Which, by the way, I want to take this opportunity to thank Juanita for carrying the load. She has done amazing work through in the last few months. Taking a huge load in the finance department. With some of the vacancies we have, she has basically taken a huge load and putting this projection together at the same time that she's working on the budget for next year. It was almost an impossible task, and she was able to do so. And thank you to Michelle. I know Michelle Bonanno is here too. Thank you to Michelle for helping Juanita with these projections and putting this together. So thank you to the team. This is teamwork, and I appreciate every single person that has been able or has answered Juanita's request of information in order for her to put this together. $8.8 million deficit at the end of the year. So now let me break this down into a few components here. First, the top of mind, $8.8 million deficit does not include the $3 million that the alders have set aside for the end of the year in case that we needed some funding to cover the deficit. So in theory, this 8.8 could turn easily or quickly could turn into 5.8 when you apply that $3 million to cover $3 million worth of expenses. However, my intent is to not count on that $3 million throughout these next projections that I will be doing in the next few months, because always the goal is always to try to mitigate the deficit without using this contingency $3 million that the others have put aside for education. And that's the goal, and it will always be the goal. And that I will continue to strive to achieve that goal. Challenges. So as you can see each line there, which are the ones that are in red, right? You see teacher full-time, admin, substitute, transportation. Those are the kind of the bigger buckets. I want to clarify something, right? I don't want any of us to get caught up on these amounts belong to this line item, because that's it depends on how you look at it, right? Depending on where we apply the revenue, the deficit is going to go up or down on any one line. I'll give you a hypothetical example, very hypothetical. If I decide to take some revenue and apply it to take another $1.5 million of revenue that's not yet applied to teachers full-time, and I apply it to the teachers full-time, then the teacher full-time will be balanced at the end of the year. But then wherever I took that 1.5 from, then it's going to go $1.5 more in the hole. So there's discretion oftentimes in the general fund budget, which is what I'm talking about, to use the funding in any one line. So I don't want to get caught up on the substitute teachers are the ones, or the paraprofessionals, or the teacher, or transportation, because of these numbers. However, I will talk about some of these line items because they have behaved in a manner that's different than what was originally projected when the budget was created by our predecessors, right? Because there was a few people that put this budget together for this year that we inherited. So some of the expenses have behaved differently than expected back when this budget was created. Prime example, substitute teachers. That substitute line right now is showing that it's going to be about $1.8 million in deficit. At the district, we have an issue with the amount and number of substitute hours that we are paying out. I'll give you a very quick example. In the month of December, there were probably about 2,400 absences of teachers in the month of December. Now, 2,400, that doesn't mean 2,400 teachers. It could be one teacher that was absent for 5 days, 6 days. So there's duplicates there, right? But there were about 2,400 on sick time only because of sickness. That doesn't include FMLA, that doesn't include vacation, doesn't include personal, doesn't include any of the other categories. And there's about, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 categories of absences that could potentially, jury duty. There's a whole bunch of different categories. Sick time is the biggest one, and that's why I brought this one up, just to provide some perspective. There was about 2,400 absences just in the month of December, which means that there's potentially 2,400 instances where we will need substitute teachers. Now, not every time there's a substitute teacher needed. Not every time that there's an absent, there's a substitute teacher needed. There are situations where the classroom may not need a substitute teacher, but in most cases the need is there. The problem is that we don't have enough substitute teachers in the district to cover all these absences. Not only the absences have increased substantially and are becoming an issue when it comes to the budget piece of it. But there's also the need to cover those classrooms, and we don't have enough substitute teachers. But with the ones we do have, we're already going way over budget. We are going way over budget already. Um, with the ones that we have. So imagine if we had enough substitute teachers to cover all the other needs, we would be even in a worse situation when it comes to substitute teachers, the line item for substitute teachers. So this is the best case scenario, understanding that not all the potential needs of substitute teachers have been used because we don't have enough substitute teachers. So that's just one example on how we look at the budget, we look at the expenses, and then we find ourselves without the ability to necessarily control the expenses. This is one of those that it's difficult for central office to control because the need is there, and we don't have enough in the budget to cover the need, which then goes back again to the conversation of the expenses are the expenses. What we need is more revenue. And I was, criticized for saying expenses are the expenses, but I will say it again: expenses are the expenses. Are we doing our best to mitigate, to cut down on expenses, to look for ways to save money? Of course we are. We will always do that, even in a balanced budget. Even if I'm presenting to you a beautiful scenario, cutting down on expenses should never be something that you should never try to do. Like, you should always try to be great stewards of the funding that our residents in New Haven are giving us to educate the children of New Haven. That should always be the goal. But the problem here is the revenue. There's not enough revenue. If I had enough revenue, those red line items wouldn't be there. And that's just simple, finance 101. I need more revenue. We are projecting that we need about $222 million for the year. Obviously, we only got 213 in the general budget. That then, you do the math, is $8.9 million difference. If you recall, on a previous presentation, I believe that it was done at the board, where we showed the historical request of funding for the last 10 years and how much we actually received. That in itself, that one slide tells the whole story, and this year is no different. I believe this year we requested about 230 million, I believe. We only got 213. So then we started cutting down as much as we could to balance the budget, but then the reality hits. Transportation expenses, keep going up. I know that our special education director, Tiffany Jackson, is doing a great work auditing the different routes for special education students, to hopefully either combine some routes or get rid of some routes. And that's great, and that may give us some savings, right? I don't expect those savings to be humongous, because the problem with transportation is not necessarily the routes, is the structure of the transportation that we provide to our New Haven students. This is basically anybody can get transportation. Doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter what school you go to, anybody can get transportation. And that is something that we need to look at, that we need not only the board, but also the community to be involved and support, efforts to streamline that process and that structure. The district cannot keep sustaining transporting students from anywhere in the city, from one corner to the other corner, only because a student choose to go to a school on the other side of town. And there are many other reasons, right? That's not the only one. There are other reasons that this happens, but we have to create a structure that's more equitable to all the other students, and that can meet and align with the resources that we have available. And that's where we're going to see the biggest savings. And I hope that's a conversation that we could have and continue to have in the upcoming months into the new year, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to get a hold of these transportation expenses. So this is the our reality right now. Obviously there is the $3 million from the others that we haven't accounted for, and that will definitely support mitigate this deficit a little bit, right? And we will tap into that funding if need be, towards the end of the year. Juanita and the team, Michelle, Tiffany, they are all looking into other revenues from special funds that we may be able to leverage to reimburse some of these expenses. These projections already include a lot of that work. They spend weeks looking at all the revenues from anywhere, everywhere, applying those revenue reimbursements to any area that we could possibly apply them. So this is a pretty good projection, but we do not. I won't say that we don't have any other opportunities. As we see how special funds expenses, continue in the upcoming months, we may be able to find a little bit more revenue to continue mitigating this deficit. In addition to that, there are some areas of expenses that we are looking into. I know that Dr. White is aggressively working on the overtime for security, overtime for custodians. We still have this issue of our custodians and security being used for events and activities that are not necessarily, district-based activities or events, and oftentimes there is no revenue that comes along with that expense, because different organizations or government agencies don't pay for those services. And every time we have security guards and custodians on site, it comes at a cost. And oftentimes it comes at an overtime cost. And we know we know that to be true for security guards because of the different tier system that we have with the different times of different schools. So there are a lot of different details that we can go into to explain some of these overages. The other one would be the budget itself. When the budget was created, it was created under a total different vision and scenario than the one that we are seeing happening today. So there are some lines that not enough money was put onto that line, even though historically the expenses have been higher. But either way, we had to balance the budget. So even if they had put enough money in that line item, another line item would have been cut because we needed to balance the budget anyway. So then the story would have flipped to another line item. So that would have not solved the issue. The issue will be resolved if we actually have more revenue in the general fund. I'm going to stop here. I know I have other slides that I want to continue, but I know that now may be the good time, if I may, Mr. Chair, because if there are questions about this projection or these numbers, this will be a great time because it's fresh, it's top of mind before I continue with the rest of the presentation. Is that okay, Mr. Chair?
Certainly. Yes. Are there comments or questions for Mr. Hernandez at this point? Dr. Yarbrough?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Thank you for your presentation. To just kind of segment some of the topics. So one topic is the budget that's upcoming and also what the district can do in terms of future expenses. And then one topic right now is just the current school year and also budget mitigation. In terms of budget mitigation, right now the projection is that we have $8,846,000 to mitigate. And I think you're saying, this is my question, that there is some mitigation that can happen, but you're thinking that there's not much more mitigation that can happen with the $8 million overage for this particular school year, not thinking about budget design for the next academic year.
Sure. So I'll be very careful to say that there is not much we can do because again we still have 4 or 5 months of expenses and one of the things that we are going to do is that our team in finance and it's looking at every general fund expense that's coming through now, and we are evaluating the opportunities of moving those expenses to any special funds if any of the special funds it's within the parameters of that particular grant. So we have a few things that we're putting in place right now um, to support, mitigating this deficit. So I would not go as far as to say that we have a few things in mind, but it may not be enough. It's too early for me to say such a thing. I think that I'm optimistic that we're going to be able to do some real good work to mitigate this. Um, I don't have the answers right now to tell you that I have $8.8 million right now that we're going to be able to mitigate today. But in the upcoming months, I'll have more clarity on how much of that it's realistic. And that's why now every month you will be seeing these projections happening. I asked at the beginning of the school year to allow me to do projections starting on month number 6, because it allowed me to not only learn, understand this, but also I had a whole half a year of data that I could use. And now I will continue to do these projections, well, my team will continue to put these projections together for every month. Um, so, Dr. Jarbor, I wouldn't go as far. I just don't have I don't have $8.8 million worth of mitigation right now that I can detail to you. We definitely had the 3 million from the others. We definitely have some initiatives that have already been put in place in transportation, in overtime, that we hope to also see some positive results. And it's to be seen how much of that it's going to be, it's going to impact this.
Great. Thank you for that reply, and also thank you to you and the team and the district staff for continuing to work on the expenses and monitoring things closely, and also to keep making all the mitigations that we can. And to clarify a little bit on this projection for the year. So the projection is a combination of anticipated expenses and anticipated revenue, but not necessarily the mitigation efforts. Because I know that the potential alders $3 million is not in there, and also what you just mentioned, anything that comes from overtime adjustments or bus routes. So this number that's here does not include mitigation efforts, but just expenses projected and revenue projected. Is that correct?
So that is correct. However, I would say that some of the mitigation initiatives that I mentioned to you, not all of them, but there are some that we may have included a very conservative number there. Uh, uh, but it's certainly not the full amount that we expect to get from those mitigation strategies. Um, and it's only some of them. I know that from the transportation efforts that Ms. Tiffany Jackson is putting in place. I know that we use an estimate of what that will look like after she completes that implementation. But we did not do that necessarily for overtime of the security and custodians. Uh, so that definitely will be a completely new, um, you know, uh, amount to mitigate this. And again, there are some other ones that I may have not identified yet that as we now look into these expenses, we may be able to identify and include as part of the mitigation. Because like I said, we don't have enough to mitigate 8.8, but we will continue to look for more opportunities.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Quick question that I have is, thanks for your walking us through this and using like the substitute line as an example of some of the challenges and reasons for why those overruns are. I know it's not lost on me. You're presenting this while you're sick, and I've certainly had family members who have been quite sick this season. So it's a lot of nasty stuff going around. So that's understandable. And I guess this the one thing I will note is that we have talked about having an update around transportation issues at an upcoming meeting, and we should schedule that to also take a look at make sure that we understand some of the drivers of these transportation costs, and then also just to hear about, how the vendors doing, are they performing as required and needed, et cetera. And I think we also wanted to hear about electric buses. So that's something we can coordinate with the Director of Transportation and the Superintendent as to when in the coming weeks it's best to have that. But so thank you for that. Those are my only comments right now. If there's nothing else, then we'll just have you continue on with your presentation.
Sounds good. The next three slides are the three slides that I've always been presenting since August, September, which is the detail of this number. So here you can see the breakdown of each of those of each of those categories. And here you can kind of like get to see a little bit more of more specific line items at the more detailed level that we could possibly present it. And so I'll go over like fairly quick. I mean, this will be posted tomorrow, so you'll be able to spend some time if you want to look at each line item. And then we got now the financial report for the special funds. The $79 million, I believe this is a little bit of an increase compared to last month as we identify special funds that are either coming through or we get confirmation of the amounts. Then we update this accordingly. And we have spent, so far 23.9. We've encumbered 6.2. So we have 49.8 still available. This is an area that will also that we're going to continue paying close attention as this may yield additional funding that we could potentially use to mitigate the general fund. But we have to be very careful because these funds come in with some parameters and some restrictions of what usage we could use it for and the way that we can use it. So the team is well aware of what these are. So towards the end of the year, they start looking at this and looking at opportunities. So this is one area that we obviously spend a good chunk of time evaluating and analyzing and looking at it. This is the kind of like the bigger one by revenue sources. That the one that you just saw before was the expenses. These are the revenue sources that you have here. And then you have now the expenses broken down by categories. As you can see, the biggest chunk of our special funds, they go towards full-time salaries and employee benefits. That takes, part-time salaries, the first three on the list. That's about just a little bit more than 75% of the whole special fund goes towards salaries and benefits. And that's the end of this presentation. Are there any questions for this particular component before I briefly tell you where we are with the budget development?
I had a quick question, and that was, is any of the revenue, are we seeing any signs of decreasing revenue based on what you all were planning for due to federal government actions? I know there's been cuts in various things connected to pre-K-12 education and higher education. I just don't know if we're seeing those effects yet or not.
Sure. So my understanding is that the answer is no, not that has impacted our general fund budget. We did obviously have that loss of funding or decrease of, I think it was loss of funding on the after school program for FAME, and I forgot what the other school was. My apologies. I know, Michelle, I know you're around, so you correct me if I'm wrong. But I know it was FAME and another school.
Fairhaven.
Fairhaven.
There you go, Fairhaven. But that did not affect the general fund budget, which is what we're showing, a potential deficit at the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
There are no other questions, then I could just briefly talk to you about the budget development. So we have, next week we're going to start our community engagement with the budget for next year. I can't recall. I think the first school that we're visiting, I think it's Nathan Hale, if I'm not mistaken, on Tuesday, the 27th. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's where we start our tour. We're going to visit 6 locations. More than half of the schools have been invited because they are part of the particular neighborhood that we're going to be at. And then we're going to be bringing some very specific budgets for those particular schools and the neighboring schools. And we'll use it as a draft to have conversations of how their budget will look like. So that's where we are right now. We're preparing to now start disclosing some of the draft budgets per school. We're not gonna have them all but for next week, but we're gonna have at least the ones that we're gonna be discussing next week, as we, and then we need more time to put the other ones together. So right now we are in that phase where we are now putting some of these budgets into the budget book sheet. So for those that still believe that there won't be a budget book, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but there will be a budget book, and it will be by line item, like the budgets that we've presented all throughout the year by line item. And next week you're gonna start seeing a little bit of that, and that's where we are right now. Obviously, in the month of February and March, it's when we start working with the city and working with all the other stakeholders to balance the budget and figuring out, what are the next steps. I can tell you right now, like I said, there's not enough revenue. The expenses keep going up. And we're gonna have to have those conversations at some point. What are we mitigating? But we're not there yet. I'm just still putting the foundation pieces together. Well, when I say I mean my team, led by Juanita. They are putting, the pieces together now, so we can then really see, okay, where are we? How much of it in a whole are we? And then what can we start, cutting or looking for mitigation opportunities.
All right, thank you. Are there comments or questions? Dr. Yarbrough.
Yes, just to ask, when you get the school budgets drafts ready and you're going to present them, please do share with the committee so that we can go through them and begin to understand what's there.
Sounds good. Will do.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the team's work.
The one thing I would add is just if the information on the forums could be posted. I'm not seeing it on the district website. So if it is posted already, my apologies, but maybe have it listed on the top level page in case people are interested in attending. I know information is going out to those school communities, but there might be members of the public or press that might want to go to one of these in their area so that they could get more insight on the budget.
Yeah, I'll check in with Dr. White this week and see how we can make that happen. So we'll definitely work on that.
Thank you very much. Okay, if there's nothing else for Mr. Hernandez, thank you for presenting, even while very ill. Appreciate that. So I hope you get better soon.
Thank you.
So we will jump up and pick up the regular agenda, starting with, is there any comments or questions related to any of the information-only items? President Yarbrough.
Thank you. Just looking through my notes. So there's one comment that I sent in for 2.1 with M activity. I guess I want to ask about 2.6, if there's someone able to talk about concrete creations.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so maybe a couple of questions. One is, was this a quote or is this exempt professional? And one question in terms of the $3,000 for mobilization and material scaffolding, is that for the equipment that we're renting? And then I had a question about what the SCD vendor means.
Hey, that's the small contract development program.
Thank you.
It's used as a way to help smaller vendors in the area get city work. They go through a program with the city and to become eligible to be listed.
Great. Thank you.
And with that, Fairhaven has a very high ceiling, and to get the lift up there, it needed scaffolding to get that done and get it done in time frame for the use of the building on January 1st.
Okay. And so the two numbers though, so there's one number for labor, then the other number is for renting the scaffolding. Is that
I would have to double back and check, but I believe I'm looking at, I sent it to the team for answers, and
okay? Then I can wait.
yeah, I just have to double check that particular one. I didn't get this breakdown for that piece.
Okay. Thank you. And I guess well
I'm
also
sorry, got back just by, it is the rental and the scaffolding.
okay.
Um, you asking this 3,000 specifically, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'll make sure someone gets back with that.
Okay. And this is and this was a okay. I see there's an updated memo. So this was a quote that went out. All right. Thank you
Right.
very much. That's all.
All right, thank you. Hearing nothing else on that, we'll move into abstracts. There is one Title IIA grant. Ms. Bonanno.
Yes, so this is the Title IIA grant for fiscal year 26. The total grant is 1,068,244. Of that, $1,027,046.93 is the public school portion. The remainder is used for the non-publics. In our district, this is the intent of Title II is teacher training. In our district, we use that to pay the full-time salaries of 7 literacy coaches within the district. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions? I had,
For the team preparing the grant.
Great.
thank you. If you guys could get about 20, 30 more of these, we'd
Well, it was up just a little year over year, so we'll go with that trend.
these are difficult to get, particularly because Title IIA is federal money. So,
Yep.
all right. Hearing nothing else on this, we'll move to amendments. The first 4.1 is with bilingual special education. Ms. Jackson.
Yep, this is an agreement that we have. We had an original agreement with Ms. Amparo, who is a bilingual school psychologist. We still are carrying 6 school psychology vacancies. I know that you hear me here oftentimes about speech, but we are starting to have the same trend in school psychology. We unfortunately had in addition to the vacancies, we had one of our folks who had to go out because of some significant medical issues. Enough to be able to cover that caseload is the reason why we need Ms. Amparo enough to get through the remainder of the year. I do know that there was a question relative to looking at, can we do a bid, some sort of RFQ process. The problem that we have is that the evaluation period is so time limited that we would have to make sure that in order to be able to pick up this work, we would have to have somebody in place. And Ms. Amparo already had a contract with us enough to be able to manage the remainder of the caseloads. What our plan is moving forward is any of the evaluators that we utilize, we will be doing something similar to what we think that YFC does a great job in making sure that we have an RFQ for anyone that we have with any of our educational services in April, so that this way there's not a question and concern. And if we have to activate folks relatively quickly, that we've done that process. So again, really the time limit and the nature of the work, it really does kind of restrict us from doing another process relatively quickly. I will tell you that Ms. Amparo, even as we looked for her in the rate by which she charges for $2,000 not commensurate, it's actually cheaper than what we know. And even as we were looking for other vendors, even from the start. So just wanted to share that in addition to the fact that she is a bilingual evaluator.
Thank you. Comments or questions? I would just add, I think that sounds like a great improvement to having some sort of modified process similar to what YFCE does for things like after school vendors, et cetera, just to kind of put the open call out there, maybe advertise through the professional associations about the availability. We might find some extra folks through this that could at least increase the number of people
that we have on
available,
call.
if not decrease the cost.
Yep, and our goal is always going to be to make sure that we continue to promote and have full-time evaluators, and have less reliance on contractor. But again, it's still a significant shortage area, so we certainly want to make sure that we're in compliance.
All right, thank you. If there's no other comments or questions, we will move on. 4.2 is a simple change in account numbers and no change in funding amount. Is that correct, Ms. Denegre?
Yes, that is correct. We're going to be moving the funding source from carryover to current year SIG.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Purchase orders. The first one is purchase order under state contract for O'Brien and Sons at Edgewood School Playground. Dr. White.
Yes, this is to work on the Edgewood playground, specifically repouring the pad, removing the old pad, repouring, making adjustments for the tree that is in the way and has been a hazard. The O'Brien's and Sons has worked on there. They are aware of the ADA issues, and that will be going into the scope of repouring this surface.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Okay, so if people had specific questions about the work that was going to be done, do people at the school know what the plans are? I mean, I assume you're working with them, but I mean, do they have an update as to the?
I will make sure that one's provided to them through Jeff Stanovich, and then also any additional work that needs to be done so that we could go from there.
Yeah, I know that this is a playground we've been looking at for several years for resurfacing. It keeps getting put off because of funding, so it's great that there's a little bit of funds for this, but there might be some questions about some of the specifics, and if the school personnel had, if somebody there.
And like I said, I will make sure that Jeff is in touch. I'm looking over. I know there was a question earlier sent related to it, so I will check that and make sure that any other answers were included for that piece.
Okay.
But this one covers the those aspects of the trees.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other comments or questions, we'll move on. 5.2 is various purchase orders combined together that cover HVAC control systems at several schools. Dr. White?
Yes. So this has been part of our upgrade of systems in the schools, working to move them up to better control so that as we do work, things can be controlled remotely to make sure things fire on time and that buildings stay warm or cool according to the time frame that's necessary.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions? Dr. Yarbrough?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for including the sole source letter to increase competition and hopefully get some lower pricing. I would say to ask the city office to see if this should still be a sole source since the date is May 2014, to see if there are other vendors that are in this area or not. And my question is, are we going into more of a sole source area with the particular improvements moving from the EBI to the Tritium system, or are we going into something where there are more vendors who can service Tritium?
More vendors, different vendors can service Tritium. Right now, this has been the transfer over to make things to be, open service. So right now, this is the work to be done, and in time we could have other people updating this. But right now, we're trying to get out of antiquated controls so that all of these improve.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wilcox.
All right, thank you. Dr. White, I haven't been keeping track. We've been doing this, kind of working through schools, several at a time. Are we getting close to the end of the switchover, or is it, third of the way roughly?
I believe this will bring us to 15 schools, and then still continue to work through every way we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hearing nothing else on that, we'll move into change orders. The first one is with out of shell. Mr. Young.
Good afternoon. That change order is for Yanes doing business out of Shell, one of our vendors. In the food service department, we have multiple third-party vendors that directly ship to us due to the quantity. And due to meal participation and the feedback that we've received from the students, we have used more of that product. Will we have to spend more money? No. What we're going to do is we're going to offset for some of our other third-party vendors, such as Tyson, Made Right, and we will offset that funding with that as we receive the reimbursement from the meals that we serve.
All right, thank you. Are there comments or questions? All right. I'll just note, I think we have on our discussion calendar a month from now an update on the food service budget overall. We haven't had one of those lately, but so thanks for providing the information about how you're covering the costs, and I'm glad kids are eating more of the food.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, next is change order with NEPV Northeast Pumps. Dr. White.
Yes, we started work on pumps in the school a while ago. This is continuing it. We only have, let me make sure I'm talking about the right account. This is the current PO will not cover anticipated repairs that have to continue throughout the rest of the year. And so that's why we're putting in the change order now.
Okay, comments or questions? Dr. Yarborough.
Yes. Dr. White, I just want to thank you for the updated memo for this. And you said there are anticipated repairs, so we know what schools we want to do this work in, or we are anticipating that repairs will be needed.
It's more the anticipation repairs will be needed. They pop up unexpectedly, so we want to be in a position that we're not trying to get this done on the tail end when we're having an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll just echo thank you for the adding the memo in that indicates that this was for the on-call contract. So it's as the district needs the services, they call on the on-call vendor and not a particular job or standalone item. So thank you for that additional information posted. If there's nothing else on this, we'll move to 6.3, a change order with Ruo Tolo Mechanical. Dr. White.
Yes, same scenario. We come up with some plumbing issues that are more than our in-house plumbers can do, major tasks that also require working with our plumbers so that we get our systems working. Like we had a heat problem at Celentano that's going to require rooting out under the concrete. So it's work like that, those sorts of things, unanticipated challenges that we want to increase for so that we can respond as necessary as things come up, particularly with the cold spell that we're expecting.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions? I had none either. We'll move into item 7.1, paraprofessional money purchase pension plan. Dr. White.
Yes, so as the long title suggests, this is a pension plan that works for our paraprofessionals. we haven't done an update in 13 years, so it was time to update. Some of the changes included language changes to meet with, I hate to say modern day, but current day language, as well as changes in IRS requirements and such, and increasing the payout amount. I believe it's going from 5,000 to 2,000. Those are some of the main changes in this.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions? President Yarbrough?
Thank you. For the, well, one, a suggestion is that the changes are maybe outlined or bulleted in some particular way so that the board knows what the difference is between what's been in place and what's in this current document, or to redline the changes in the document. And my question is, for the change in payout, is that a decision that's previously been agreed on and we're now just updating this document, or is that a decision that comes with accepting the document?
I am not sure. I believe it comes with accepting this document.
And Ms. DeMayo has a hand up also.
Right, and it's actually one thing. The payout. I'm sorry, the cash out. This was specifically the threshold for small amount distribution is increased from 5,000 to 7,000. That was what that particular change was. I pulled up the document to look at that. But Pat, anything else you want to share, please feel free.
Yes. So the document that we have on the agenda is a restatement, taking the redlined document from previously approved amendments into one final document. And that's why it's been a little confusing to try to delineate all the different changes. Nothing in here is new. It's just put together in one final format for approval. Everything has been previously approved.
Great, thank you. And I guess to that point, does this need approval? Or yeah, like what makes it need approval at this stage? Is it combining the documents or?
As far as I know, that and the city is requiring a finalized copy of it approved by the board so that it's
Correct.
the final version. That's my understanding. I don't know.
Yes, that is the understanding, that now that all of these are in place, that this will be the document that we work from in the future.
Okay. I mean, I guess Mr. Wilcox, like as with everything else, I just asked for Attorney Barrera to review it and give the green light if he hasn't already.
Attorney
that,
Alexiadis wanted to say something as well, and I will bring
yes,
him over.
Thank you. That could help me know how to move forward, and I don't know if this is going to require a signature or if it's just a document.
Dr. White, do you have Elias on the phone? Or there he is. Okay, I was going to chime in. Okay, there.
Yeah, I was lurking.
Thank you.
Most of the meeting. So if this plan is governed by a separate board, and they also have outside counsel that I presume drafted these changes. I haven't been involved with them since we drafted the retainer, rather the engagement agreement, professional service agreement for that outside counsel, Kutak Rock, and the board has approved a renewal of that agreement that we should have in place shortly. That being said, I'm not, and certainly Attorney Barrera is not familiar with the whatever changes might be in here. But if you do have substantive questions, we can direct those to the outside law firm for answers. But it ought to be. I would not expect this to be presented to you for approval unless it had already passed muster with outside counsel. But I can't say that based on any personal knowledge other than.
I think that would be very helpful before this is posted for the full board is just a brief memo or letter or something from that council that just kind of indicates what's been said, which is that this is pulling together these things. It's been reviewed. It meets what the board needs, etc. There's not substantive changes that are going to lead to greater increased costs other than what's already been approved. Just something that kind of encapsulates that. I know we're going to get questions otherwise at the meeting from people. So another way to do it would be to have somebody be able to present it then. But I think something that outlines that would be needed. So,
Yeah, and if we can't get something sufficient by next meeting, then I would just, I would recommend rolling it over to the next Finance and Operations Committee meeting.
okay. I mean, personally, I'm comfortable with, approving it moving forward with that understanding that if we're not able to get a memo that kind of describes it or a letter or something, that we can always withdraw it or not even list it for the Friday posting for Monday's meeting.
Okay.
If that works for the committee, that's I think best way to move forward. All right.
Works for me. Thank you. Thank you all.
Sounds good. We've reached the end of the action items, so I'll go ahead and make the motion. Is that as I move, we send to the full board this one abstract, 2 amendments, 2 purchase orders, 3 change orders, and the paraprofessional money purchase pension plan document.
Second.
It's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we shall vote. President Yarborough,
Yes.
Ms. Downer,
I'm not sure if she's still driving.
yeah.
That's a yes. I'm still driving.
Okay. So that's a yes. I'm a yes as well. So the motion passes. We will move into discussion items. The first one, we've already talked about some, but the next one will be 9.1 board docs transition. Ms. DeMayo?
Yes. Dr. White, can you share the screen?
Give me 1 second to get it back up.
Okay. I can move forward if you'd like while Dr. White is working on
Yep.
that. Oh, here
Yeah,
we go.
it's just take its time to load. You'll see it in just a moment.
Okay. So we currently use a platform called Board Docs to create our agendas for the board and for the finance committee and some of our other committees, not as widely as the board and finance. The board docs is going away. It's being retired by the company, and a new product called Community is going to be replacing it. Community is a much more up-to-date platform than the board docs, or board docs is definitely a little bit clunky, even though it was still an operational efficiency under our strategic operating plan. It was a little bit clunky to deal with because of its age and other problems. So the new platform is going to be a lot easier to work with for staff in our effort to continually produce these agendas and post them in a timely manner. The new platform will be extended to all of the board committees over the next month or two, not just finance and the board, so that it's consistent all the way across. We did purchase the annual subscription, the license, back in August for this, and staff have been attending training while the company is migrating all of our data over to the new platform. And we anticipate improved access and streamlined processes for the board committee agendas, minutes, and the document library. And so for the next, my next slide has a timetable of when we will move forward. Our last board meeting in board docs will be on February 9th. And then that site will move to read only and will launch on February 13th with a new community. And the first F&O meeting will be the 17th. We'll be using the community. And then by March, they will deactivate the board docs. One of the things we're working on is to make it a seamless process for everybody, so that when you go to the main page of the website, our website, and you see the calendar and you click on the finance and operation or the board meeting, it should automatically go right to that meeting, as opposed to right now. It's a little clunky in that when you click on the meeting, it takes you to the board docs instead, and you have to search for the meeting. So there's a lot of improvements, and there's just improved access to different features. So that's where we are, and I wanted to make you aware of it and I'll remind everybody again that we're going in that direction before we do it, so that you're familiar with the access point. Question.
All right, comments or questions? And just to clarify, you said all the committees are going to start using this. Is that the case?
We are going to, we've asked people to be attending trainings. We'll be following up on that. All the committees and all the minutes for those meetings are going to be posted in a timely FOIA manner.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Alexiadis?
Sorry, I was muted. On the timeline, there's a deactivation deadline in March. Will we have access? Are the historical documents, is the archive moving over? Will we have access to,
Yes.
like, this meeting's records on the new platform?
The archives will be moving over. They are in the process of moving over now, but we'll continue that until it's deactivated.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Yarbrough?
Yes, Mr. Mayo, thank you for the update and also the timeline. And I'm looking forward to all committees being a part of this. And also February is right around the corner. So I'm excited that this is one thing the board will get to experience in real time, almost. And I remember when I think the board received a presentation on board docs, and it was a big thing to move over to it. So I'm looking forward to just the new experience that will happen with this community platform. So thank you for setting it up, and thank you to all the staff who have been training to make this happen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
One last thing
Hey.
we did post a little link to a very brief video that introduces you to the community platform. So you can just go on our meeting page and it's there.
Great, thank you. I suggest posting that for the full
For
board
the
meeting.
board. Yes.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else on this, thank you very much, Ms. DeMayo. We've already talked about 9.2, 3, and 4 at the top of the meeting. So let's move on to 9.5. Snow removal update, Dr. White.
Yes, this is just a brief update. As you know, we had a couple events this weekend. Well, one turned into two, turned into one long event. So we've dealt with that again using the same format. And anywhere that needed additional work, it's been cleaning up or clearing areas that are not obvious paths. Like, for example, one thing that came up was a request for a school to clear this area by a playground that's really not on the main area, but it's because generally families are walking across that area during normal times. That's where they walk across before going back out onto the sidewalk. So again, adjustments like that, something that wouldn't be necessarily noticed immediately. And anywhere that needed retreatment was retreated, as you know, anything froze solid last night. And we're beginning to gear up for what's been a change in forecast for Sunday through Tuesday, and being prepared for what will happen. Already have had a conversation with emergency management as we see, and we'll be watching this one very closely.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions? If you could arrange, Dr. White, to just have the snow not happen coming up, that'd be great.
If I could, I might be taking a different job then.
It was
Weathermaster.
I returned from Florida on Sunday after going to see my mother in the nursing home, and it was a little bit weird to jump on a plane and it's 65 or 70 degrees, and then coming in on the breeze flight and you're seeing snow going by at 400 miles an hour and then land into all that was a little bit odd experience that I don't get very often. So anyways, thank you for that update. There's nothing else. I'll just note that we've incorporated suggestions into the discussion calendar. If anybody has anything else they'd like to add, please let the committee, Dr. Negron and Ms. DeMayo know. Please be aware of what's on that and be ready for that moving forward. One thing that we are going to be looking for a place, and Ms. DeMayo, if you could work with staff there as to when's a good place to put in a transportation update. That'll include transportation issues, costs, vendor performance. And if there was an update on electric buses, understanding that might be, maybe we need 2 updates on different dates, but that would be also interesting because there were some developments at one point and just need to see what's going on with that. Attorney Alexiadis?
Yes, thank you. If you're done with everything else on the agenda, I just wanted to make a personal comment that this is probably my last Finance and Operations Committee meeting, as we are transitioning to Attorney Mike Barrera, who's on the call. And so that transition is in full swing. I expect to be at the next Board of Ed meeting. And then, only in the rare event it might be as needed down the road, but you're in good hands. I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure working with you all and with this committee and the staff who contributes to it. And I'll continue to be available at City Hall if you all need to reach out to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll just say thank you very much for your service to the committee and the district and the city, and greatly appreciated your counsel over the years. that I've been involved with the board. So, Dr. Yarbrough, you had your hand up?
Yes, similarly, Attorney Lexiatis, I appreciate you. Have depended on you a lot, and I appreciate our conversations and also the counsel you have provided. And two things: one, as a new board member coming on, your insight and just professional vision have been of critical importance to me, helping me transition, definitely been invaluable. And over the next couple of years, I will try to uh, pare down. I don't know that I can phase out, but I'll try to pare down my as needed request of you. Please don't change your cell phone number, your email. Uh, please don't block my number. But I appreciate working with you, and also appreciate you just bringing on Attorney Barrera and just doing that transition. Not just dropping Attorney Barrera off, but properly doing a transition. I appreciate you for that. So thank you very, very much for serving with us.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
I would like to say something too. Thank you, Attorney Alexiata. I know I wasn't the easiest, but you certainly made it seem really quite pleasant. So thank you. I appreciate working with you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. And if there are no upcoming financial issues that we already haven't talked about, we would be at the point for an adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
And moved and seconded. We shall vote. Ms. Downer.
Yes.
Dr. Yarbrough. And I'm a yes as well. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Good night.
Except
Night.
Attorney Alexiadis.